Do you know that feeling of being trapped inside your own head? Thoughts that arrive like waves, one after the other, without asking permission. You try to organize them, but the more you try, the more confused you become. It's like walking through a labyrinth, where each corner reveals another worry, another fear, another doubt weighing on your chest. And in the midst of all this, you ask yourself, when will this stop? The truth is, many people live like this. They wake up with their minds already racing and go to sleep with thoughts that don't let them truly rest. Work, family, future, past. Everything mixed together in a whirlwind that seems endless. And the worst part, you try to control each thought, as if it were possible to hold the wind in your hands. But the more you squeeze, the more it escapes. The more you fight alone, the more tired you become. Have you ever stopped to notice how negative thoughts have a strange power? They creep in quietly, but soon take over everything. A small worry becomes a snowball. A fear becomes a certainty. And suddenly, you're living inside a scenario your own mind created. A scenario that isn't always real, but hurts as if it were. Overwhelming thoughts aren't just uncomfortable. They steal your peace, your joy, your hope. But I'm going to tell you something that could change everything. You weren't created to live like this. You weren't created to carry alone the weight of every thought, every anxiety, every what if. There's a different path. There's a way out of this labyrinth. And it doesn't begin with trying to control more. It begins when you understand that you don't need to control everything alone. Because there is someone who knows every corner of your mind better than you do yourself. And he's waiting for you to give him what you've never been able to resolve on your own. And then anxiety ceases to be just a feeling. It gains a voice. It begins to whisper in your ear. What if you don't succeed? What if it goes wrong? What if you're not good enough? These are questions that don't expect answers. They only want to paralyze you. Your heart races, your breath becomes short, and you feel as if you're sinking, even while standing still. It's funny and sad at the same time how we try to fight it alone. We try to convince ourselves that we're strong enough, that we can handle it. We take a deep breath, count to 10, try to distract our minds. Sometimes it works for a few minutes, but soon the voice returns, louder, more insistent, and you realize you no longer know how to deal with bad thoughts that seem to have a life of their own. The Bible shows us a man who understands this very well. His name is Daniel. Imagine the scene. He was torn from his land, taken prisoner to Babylon, far from everything he knew. He was placed in a strange culture, with strange gods, in a position where any mistake could cost him his life. And yet, 3 times a day, Daniel opened the windows of his room and prayed. Not because he didn't feel fear, not because anxiety didn't knock at the door, but because he knew there was something greater than his circumstances. When Daniel's enemies plotted against him and threw him into the lion's den, anxiety could have screamed, "It's the end, you're going to die." But Daniel had learned something that changed everything. He didn't have to fight alone. He surrendered every thought, every fear, every uncertainty to God. And you know what happened? God shut the lions' mouths. Not because Daniel was perfect, but because he chose to trust even when all seemed lost. The difference between sinking into anxiety and finding peace isn't the absence of problems. It's who you choose to let carry the burden with you. Daniel knew this. He knew that anxiety and faith don't have to be enemies. Faith doesn't deny what you feel. It shows you to whom you can surrender what you feel. And that choice, my friend, that choice can change everything. But how do you do that when your mind is screaming and your heart is racing? In the midst of all this mental noise, something happens. A pause, a sliver of light in the middle of the storm. It's subtle, almost imperceptible, but it's there. An invitation to inner silence. It's not the silence of escape. It's not giving up on thinking. It's that moment when you finally stop trying to solve everything and allow the stillness to touch your heart. There's something powerful about this pause. Because it's in that pause that you realize a difficult but liberating truth. You can't control everything. You can't predict every outcome, protect yourself from every pain, guarantee every success. And you know what? You weren't meant to be able to, because you're not God. You're human, and it's okay to be human, with limitations, with frailties, with a mind that sometimes gets tired of thinking so much. Calming the mind with faith isn't a magic trick. It's not about repeating mantras until you're convinced everything is all right. It's about recognizing with an open heart that there is someone greater than your fears, someone who isn't scared by your crises, who doesn't tire of your questions, who doesn't give up on you even when you give up on yourself. It's about surrendering control, not because you're weak, but because you're wise enough to know that there's a force greater than your own. Psalm 46:10 says something revolutionary. Be still and know that I am God. Being still isn't about being paralyzed by fear. It's about resting in the certainty that God is in control. It's about allowing emotional healing in God to begin exactly where you are now, tired, confused, overwhelmed. Because God doesn't demand that you arrive perfect. He finds you in the mess and offers you peace in the midst of it. This inner silence is the beginning of everything. It's where you stop shouting alone and start listening to the voice that truly matters. It's where the rush of the mind finds rest in God. But what happens when you finally decide to give up? What changes when you let go of the weight you should never have carried alone? There's a huge difference between knowing you should give something to God and actually doing it, because giving requires trust. It requires letting go of control. And that's scary, isn't it? We'd rather carry the weight, even if it's breaking our backs, than risk dropping something. But here's a truth that will set you free. The weight you're carrying wasn't meant to be yours in the first place. Think about it. How many nights have you spent tossing and turning in bed, trying to solve in your mind what only God can solve in practice? How many times have you blamed yourself for things that were beyond your control? You burden yourself with what others think, with what could go wrong, with decisions that don't even need to be made yet. And in the midst of all this, God is saying, my child, give me this. Let me carry it. Surrendering your worries to God isn't complicated, but it requires a decision. It's no use praying and remaining attached to your worries. It's no use saying, I trust in you with your mouth and continuing to try to control everything with your hands. Surrendering means truly letting go. It's saying, God, I don't know how this will be resolved, but you do. I can't do it alone, but you can. I surrender my mind, my thoughts, my worries, everything to you. Oh, and since we're here, let me make you an invitation. If this content is making sense to you, subscribe to the channel and leave a like. This helps this message reach more people who also need to hear that they are not alone on this journey. Continuing, something happens when you truly surrender. It's as if an invisible burden is lifted from your shoulders. It doesn't mean the problems disappear overnight, but it means you're no longer carrying them alone. Surrendering your mind to God is the first step towards it finally resting. Because the mind that tries to control everything never rests, but the mind that trusts that one finds peace even in the midst of the storm. And when you truly surrender, something begins to change inside. But trusting also demands something from you. Trusting in God isn't just a feeling that descends from heaven and takes over. It's not waking up one day and suddenly having unwavering faith. Trust is a decision. It's a choice you make every day, sometimes every hour, sometimes every minute, because life never stops throwing situations in your face that make you want to regain control, to go back to I'll handle it myself mode. There are days when you wake up and the first thing that comes to mind is that problem that seems unsolvable. And then you get that urge to take back everything you've given up, to try to control it, to do something, anything, just to feel like you're making a difference. But that's exactly where faith needs to act. That's when you choose to remember God is in control of everything, not just sometimes, not just when I feel safe, always. Proverbs 3:5-6 says something that can change your life. Trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways submit to him, and he will make your paths straight. See? Don't lean on your own understanding, because your understanding is limited. You only see a piece of the story. But God, he sees everything, the beginning, the middle, the end, and everything that comes after. Spiritual confidence is not naivete. It's not pretending everything is all right when it's not. It's knowing that even when things aren't going well right now, there's a God working behind the scenes, preparing something you can't yet see. It's resting in the certainty that he hasn't forgotten you, hasn't abandoned you, and won't let you fall. Choosing to trust frees you from the prison of worry. It frees you from the need to have all the answers. It frees you from the burden of trying to be God in your own life. And when you choose to trust, even trembling, even afraid, that's when true strength appears. Because it is through trust that something profound begins to happen within you. Healing isn't just external. It begins in the mind, in the heart, in the soul. When you finally surrender and choose to trust, something extraordinary happens. The healing of the mind through faith begins to work. It's not instantaneous like a miracle in a soap opera. Sometimes it's gradual, sometimes it's silent, but it's real. You realize that the thoughts that once dominated you begin to lose their power. That vicious cycle of worry and despair begins to break. Inner peace in God is not the absence of problems. It's not living in a bubble where nothing affects you. It's having an anchor in the midst of the storm. It's knowing that no matter what happens outside, there is a peace that guards your heart and mind. Philippians 4:6-7 describes this perfectly. Do not be anxious about anything, but in every situation, by prayer and petition, with thanksgiving, present your requests to God, and the peace of God, which transcends all understanding, will guard your hearts and your minds in Christ Jesus. Do you see what's happening? God not only gives you peace, he guards your mind. He protects it from attacks, from lies, from thoughts that try to drag you back down. And little by little, thought by thought, you realize you're no longer a slave to that mental confusion. Liberation from bad thoughts isn't magic. It's the result of a mind that's finally being aligned with God's truth. You start to think differently. The things that used to keep you awake at night no longer have the same power over you. That difficult conversation, that pending decision, that fear of the future, it's all still there. But you're no longer carrying it alone. And when you're no longer alone, the weight is different, the burden is light, the journey is possible. And you know what's even more incredible? You realize that healing isn't just about feeling less anxious. It's about starting to see life through God's eyes. It's about having hope where before there was only despair. It's about believing that even when you don't understand, God is writing a beautiful story with your life. But make no mistake, there is still a war, an invisible struggle against that which tries to steal this peace from you. It would be wonderful if, after surrendering everything to God, the bad thoughts would never return. But the truth is, the battle continues, because there is an enemy who doesn't want to see you free. He knows that a peaceful mind, a mind that trusts in God, is a threat to his plans. So he attacks. And the battlefield? Your mind. The worries return, the fears resurface. That what-if feeling knocks on the door again. And you ask yourself, did I really trust? Did it work? But listen, this doesn't mean you failed. It means you're in a spiritual war, and wars require struggle. They require you not to give up at the first setback. Overcoming worry through faith isn't about never feeling fear again. It's about knowing what to do when it appears. It's about having the right weapons for this battle. And do you know what the main weapon is? The Word of God. Ephesians 6:17 calls it the sword of the Spirit. When negative thoughts come, and they will, you need to fight them with the truth. God has not given me a spirit of fear, but of power, love, and self-control. I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. He takes care of me. Faith to overcome anxiety isn't passive. It's not just sitting and waiting for things to get better on their own. It's active. It's waking up every day and deciding, I will trust, even if I don't understand, even if I don't see the way. I choose to believe that God is in control, and every time you make that choice, you become stronger. Every time you resist fear with faith, you gain ground. There are times when the struggle is heavy. There are times when you get tired, and that's okay. Even Jesus in Gethsemane felt the crushing weight of what was to come, but he didn't give up. He prayed, he surrendered, he trusted, and that's what you need to do too. Keep surrendering, keep trusting, even when it's difficult. Because victory isn't for those who never feel fear. It's for those who choose to have hope in God despite the fear. And when you learn to fight with faith, something profound happens. Your heart finally learns what true rest is. After the battle comes rest, not the rest of exhaustion, but the rest of confidence. It's when you finally understand what it means to rest your mind in God. It's not about running away from problems. It's not about ignoring reality. It's about having the deep certainty, deep in your heart, that you don't need to have all the answers, because He does. Matthew 11:28-30 brings a beautiful promise. Come to me, all you who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest. Take my yoke upon you and learn from me, for I am gentle and humble in heart, and you will find rest for your souls. For my yoke is easy and my burden is light. Jesus isn't calling you to carry more weight. He's calling you to change the burden. This rest is not spiritual laziness. It is Christian emotional strengthening. It's knowing that you can face the day because you're not facing it alone. It's waking up and, before checking your phone, before diving into worries, pausing and saying, God, today I choose to trust in you. Guide my steps, guard my mind, hold my hand. And then, with that foundation, you face whatever comes. How can you trust God more? By practicing, day after day, situation after situation. Every time you feel anxiety rising and instead of panicking, you breathe and pray, you're learning. Every time you surrender what you can't control, you're growing. Every time you choose peace instead of worry, you're winning. A heart that rests is a mature heart. It is not naive. It is not immature. It has simply learned that there is someone greater watching over it. And that certainty changes everything. It changes how you wake up. It changes how you deal with challenges. It changes how you sleep, because you are no longer lost in the labyrinth of the mind. You have a guide. And now comes the most powerful moment of all, when you allow God not only to calm your thoughts, but to guide each and every one of them. Here we arrive at the peak, at the real turning point. Because it's one thing to ask God to calm your mind. It's quite another, much deeper, to let God guide your thoughts. It's about relinquishing not only control over circumstances, but control over your own way of thinking. And that transforms everything. When God guides your thoughts, you begin to see situations differently. What once seemed impossible now has a solution. That person who hurt you, now you can forgive. That uncertain future now has hope. Not because you changed on your own, but because the mind of Christ began to work in you. 2 Corinthians 10:5 speaks of this. We take captive every thought to make it obedient to Christ. Do you realize the power of this? You don't need to be a slave to every thought that comes your way. You can capture it, evaluate it, and decide whether it comes from God or not. If it doesn't, you reject it. If it does, you embrace it. And little by little, your mind ceases to be a chaotic battlefield and becomes a garden where God plants peace, hope, love, and purpose. The spiritual confidence you've built up until now is blossoming into fruit. You realize you're no longer reacting to life on autopilot, letting every wind of worry carry you in any direction. Now you have firmness. You have clarity. You have purpose. Because your thoughts are no longer just your own. They are aligned with God's truth. This doesn't mean you become a robot. You remain you, with your emotions, your doubts, your questions. But now there is an anchor, a voice that speaks louder than the chaos, a presence that reminds you at every step, I am with you, I haven't abandoned you, I have a plan, trust me. And when you arrive at that place, you finally understand what freedom is. Not the freedom to never have problems again, but the freedom to never be alone in them again. So, here we are, at the end of this journey, but at the beginning of something greater in your life. Because what I want you to understand, from the bottom of my heart, is this. You were not created to live lost inside your own head. You were not made to carry alone the weight of every thought, every worry, every fear. You were created to walk with God, to rest in Him, to trust in Him. Inner peace in God is not a spiritual luxury that only a few special people can achieve. It's a gift available to you right now, today, at this very moment. It doesn't matter how lost you feel. It doesn't matter how messed up your life is. It seems to be clear to your mind. God is waiting for you to surrender to Him. He's waiting for you to trust Him. And you know what's even more incredible? This journey never ends. Each day is a new opportunity to choose faith instead of fear, trust instead of control, peace instead of worry. Each morning is a fresh start where you can say, God, today again, I surrender everything to you. Guide my thoughts, hold my hand, show me the way. Isaiah 26:3 promises something that can completely change your life. You will keep in perfect peace those whose minds are steadfast because they trust in you. Perfect peace, not partial, not temporary, perfect. And it's available to you, not because you are perfect, but because God is faithful. So today, right now, make a choice. Surrender to God what has been robbing you of sleep. Surrender the thoughts that have been burdening you. Surrender the control you've been trying to maintain. And trust. Trust that He knows what He's doing. Trust that He hasn't forgotten you. Trust that the story He's writing with your life is a good one, even when you can't see it yet. You no longer need to get lost in your thoughts. There is direction, there is peace, there is rest when you choose to surrender and trust in God. If this message touched your heart, share it with someone who also needs to hear it. Leave a comment, subscribe to the channel, and let's walk this journey of faith together, because no one needs to walk alone. God is with you, always.